global and the fundamental key role was from the cities, not only from the countries, but from the cities. This was in the history of Renaissance in the past, but this is particularly true for this time also in Saudi. You invested a lot in the development of the city, particularly why this focus for you?
There is no doubt that the world economies are not only based on countries, but it's based on cities. 85% of the world economy comes from cities, and in the next few years, this number will increase to 95%. Therefore, true growth begins in the cities, whether in terms of innovation, education, services, tourism, and other sectors. This is why the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, we must concentrate on the cities that have capabilities to grow and they can achieve economic progress and growth in jobs and more services. Therefore, the cities are very important for development.
Absolutely. It's very interesting because when around the world we discussed about Saudi, we discuss about the importance of your country as a very good playmaker in the area, in the region, in the world. But a lot of people ignored the great efforts in the development cities, from the little city to biggest cities, so Riyadh. My question is that I touch with my hands in the FII Institute, in the project of Alula, the great success of a lot of projects. But why you believe so very with a great investment in Riyadh? What's your strategy for Riyadh? And as former mayor, my question is, what is the future of Riyadh in the strategy of a Vision 2030?
Of course, there are a lot of opportunities all over Saudi Arabia. We are working on strategies for all regions. We have launched NEOM and NEOM strategy and NEOM city and the Lion City in NEOM. It's the key city in NEOM, and soon we will launch the strategy for the city of Riyadh, and we'll come back soon to Riyadh. And we also work on the strategy of Mecca and strategy for Eastern Province, Asir, and many other regions according to the opportunities and capabilities. However, Riyadh has very special features. Today, Riyadh represents about 50% of the non-oil economy in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. The cost of job creation in Riyadh is 30% less than the other cities in Saudi Arabia. The cost of infrastructure and real estate development is 29% less than the other cities in Saudi Arabia. The infrastructure in Riyadh is already quite outstanding because of the work done by King Salman over the past 55 years, and during which he planned Riyadh and developed until it became 7.5 million people. So therefore, Riyadh is a huge opportunity to create an economic growth that is huge in Saudi Arabia and to develop industry, tourism, and great progress. Therefore, we must take care of Riyadh and view it in a special way because it's one of the pillars of the economic growth in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. All of the special characteristics of Riyadh give importance to economic growth investments and many more opportunities. That's why we take Riyadh into consideration. Generally speaking, our target is to have Riyadh become one of the 10 largest economies in the world. Today, it's ranked the 40th. Our target also is to increase the population from 7.5 million to 15 to 20 million in 2030. We also aim to have Riyadh become one of the best cities in the world in terms of quality of life, tourism, and services in a way or another.
It's very interesting because when you served as a mayor, as a governor, as King Salman made for a lot of time in Riyadh, that remains in your heart. For a mayor, for a governor, your place is not simply a place. There is an expression in ancient Roman, the city is civitas, and in Greek language is polis. From civitas came civilization, from polis came politics. That means from the cities, from the histories of the city came the growth in the past. And I think that is particularly true for today. For me, it's interesting to discover, because I discovered in the last period, the great attention about sustainability and education in Riyadh. There is a park with 3 times Central Park in terms of dimension, 7.5 million of trees, and of course a great investment in education. What's, in your view, Your Highness, is the role as for Riyadh to lead the transformation of kingdom, and if you think in that project you will be able to attract new talent? I'm really impressed. For me, it was very impressive to work with young men and young women in a lot of projects of Saudi. You are one of the unbelievable youngest population around the world. What do you think about the role of Riyadh as leader of the transformation of a kingdom? I cannot speak about the cost of job in Riyadh because as Italian I'm very jealous. So what's the role of Riyadh in this transformation?
As I mentioned, Mr. Prime Minister, Riyadh represents about 45% of Saudi economy and more than 30% of the population of Saudi Arabia, and it has a unique infrastructure capable of hosting in the next 10 years 15 to 20 million people, making Riyadh one of the key enablers for economic growth in Saudi Arabia and job creation. When it comes to population growth in Saudi Arabia, we focus on 2 main cities, Riyadh and Neom. In the rest of the cities, we focus on improving services, the quality of life, seizing opportunities in tourism, natural resources, and other opportunities. However, population growth is less costly and the easiest to achieve in Riyadh and Neom. That's why we are working very hard in Riyadh. Riyadh has all the economic potential for success. We are going to announce the biggest industrial city in the world, and it has one of the largest now in the world, and it has a lot of roads all over Saudi Arabia and all Gulf countries and all the ports of Saudi Arabia and Gulf ports. It has a historical sites, and most of them are registered in the UNESCO. It has 7.5 million people, and with huge expenditure and massive capital and infrastructure that could be one of the best top 10 in the world. All of these are enablers that will allow us to create tremendous growth in Riyadh. Our target today is to finalize the final details of the strategy of Riyadh and announce it soon, so it could be applied on the ground and Saudi citizens can benefit from this growth in Saudi Arabia and the entire region.
If I think about the next 10 years, I'm so excited about the possibilities, particularly for young generation in Saudi and particularly for education. If I think about neo-Renaissance, I think about a time of the life of the men and the women in which was possible invest not only in the finance, not only in economy, but in education. And the great combination to create Renaissance in Florence and in other cities was exactly that. A lot of money, so good funding, to create a good citizen with a great investment in education, in the human intelligence, because it's important to invest in artificial intelligence, but it's important also to invest in the natural intelligence and in the skill of young people. So we stress a lot of that point, but of course here in FII event, a lot of people think about the next investment of PIF, because the announcement about 1.4 trillion of investment from today to 2030 is unbelievable, a huge number. I consider the number thinking about Italian public debt, so 1.4 trillion, it's an unbelievable number, is half the Italian public debt. Jokes apart, I think is particularly important for us to understand what type of investment and what type of strategy you imagine, because it's important the great investment in the cities, it's important education, it's important tourism, it's important everything we talk, but you have a great asset with PIF. So, Your Highness, to conclude, how will you do that with this unbelievable number and what's the strategy to arrive in 2030 to achieve the ambitious goal of Vision 2030?
Before I answer the question about the Public Investment Fund, I would like to emphasize that we have the high volume in Riyadh means creating better services. We cannot be pioneers in the health sector if there is no high demand by 15 to 20 million residents. We cannot be pioneers in services if there is no high demand from 15 to 20 million people. The distinguished services in Tokyo, New York, or London are possibly because of the large population in healthcare, education, and other services. Good demand creates good supply. That's why we are focusing on Riyadh mainly to create this strong demand so that we can create the matching supply. Naturally, Riyadh wants to upgrade the infrastructure, wants to improve its regulations, it wants to improve the quality of life, either in education or in environment. And Riyadh has massive environmental projects. As you mentioned, there is a Central Park 3 times the size of the famous Central Park, and it's not the only park. There are hundreds of parks in Riyadh and also Green Riyadh projects in order to plant millions of trees, which will affect the temperature 1 to 4 degrees Celsius and will increase the dust. And there are giga natural reserves in Riyadh in order to improve the environment in Riyadh region, and there are other environmental projects in Saudi Arabia that are going to be announced later. There will be a lot of things to do in Riyadh that we are going to announce. However, I'm just mentioning the highlights in Riyadh, and we will announce the strategy with all its details regarding the Public Investment Fund. I know a lot of people are asking how we are going to increase the assets from 400 billion riyals to 4 trillion riyals. There are a lot of resources. First, there are a lot of assets managed by the PIF valued today at 0. These assets include the lands of Neom. They are the size of Belgium, with a book value of 0. The land of Amala project, and it's in the size of Belgium, and the book value is 0. The land of Red Sea projects, and also equals the size of Belgium, and the book value is 0 as well. The land of Qiddiya and Riyadh equal the half size of Bahrain, has a book value of 0, and there are tens of real estate assets that have a book value of 0 at PIF. Once investments are injected there, they will be reflected on the value of the asset itself that is going to increase 1.5 trillion riyal. And the assets exist in the PIF, so this is the first resource. The second source, there are going to be IPOs by Aramco in the following years, and this cash is going to be transferred to the PIF and re-injected inside and outside Saudi Arabia for the benefit of the PIF. The third source, we have huge privatization projects. The cash will be generated from these projects and will be directed to the PIF to increase the assets. The fourth source is the natural growth of the PIF profits to be reinvested. This will take us from 1.5 trillion riyals to 1.1 trillion dollars in the next few years. I think this is not challenging. I believe this is going to be achieved without doubt, and we will work on that.
Your Highness, my friend, I think in this time, politics needs a very good combination between past and the future, between day by day and vision, between tradition and innovation. I think with your leadership, with the leadership of King Salman, Saudi Kingdom could really play a very crucial role. And for me, as former mayor, it was particularly nice to understand how is important the role of cities, first of all, Riyadh in that construction. So we discussed a lot about the role of Saudi as a key player in the international politics. It's absolutely crucial, it's absolutely important, not only for Middle East, but I think it's important also to hear from your voice today how is great the project until 2030 in the vision, Saudi vision, to create a land able to combine together past and the future, and also tradition and memory and innovation and identity. For that, my best wishes, a great good luck to you, to your team, and of course, thanks also as Italian, because your job in G20 will open a very important G20 for Italy and next year for India, to continue to ensure to the world a time of peace and prosperity. Thank you so much, my friend. Thank you so much, Your Highness.
Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister. I'm very happy to be with you. I promise everyone that as we offer the optimistic projects in Neom City, we will also soon provide details of the strategy of the projects in Riyadh and other strategies for the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia in different cities. This is going to be optimistic and surprisingly positive for Saudi Arabia and the whole world.